Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Zielonka, the premium expansion map. How is everyone doing this fine Sunday evening? No, not Sunday evening. Saturday evening. Sunday morning for those of you down south below the equator in Australia or New Zealand. We get a pretty good following down there due to our streaming time zone. It was Green Mountain then. That's the 4X logging map. Well, logging and farming. I mean, it had a nice mix. I am a time traveler. Indeed, indeed. Alright, let's pick up some taters. People, we gotta haul these down to the soup factory. I've already harvested the 3 fields of sorghum that I put in. So that has been done. We obviously dug up and topped our potatoes. Now we are loading them up with our pickup harvester. And then later tonight, we have red beets to start to harvest. And unlike last time, we are not going to be using the crate harvester. I wanted to go with something a little bit cheaper. Plus, I wanted to buy it. I only had $126,000 in the bank, so we went with the harvester that has pretty much just like this, where it has the storage hopper. Goldeneye, you might like beets, but I really am not a beet fan. But I do know that they sell like hotcakes, the beet soup and the triple soups. So we are going to be, well, we're going to be making a beet farmer out of myself because it's good money. And one can't turn down good money. Caleb, well, that's why they allowed the PC version of the Silverado, because it's not Giants that has the issue with not having the license. It's Sony and Microsoft. That's why there's a Lizard Silverado. A little surprised that they allowed the name, quite frankly. The Lizard Silverado is on console. The Chevrolet Silverado is a PC only mod, right? So if you want to be a cross-platform server, you have to use the Lizard Silverado. As far as multiplayer goes, it's Sony and Microsoft that are the problem. Oh, okay. So yeah, Lizard Silverado. I guess they figured it was safe enough. I don't know. But yeah. Where's the beef? It's not on this farm. We've got pork. We got pork. Let me tell you a funny story. So my boss, she I don't know why, but she's got a kid in FFA, or no, she's got a kid in school, and they were doing some sort of fundraiser. And yeah, nobody at work likes to bring in fundraiser things for their kids because, well, you know, we've all been fundraised out over the years. I guess it's like the FFA when they do fruit, right? When they sell cases of fruit. But apparently they were selling bacon. Except they were selling bacon in like large quantities. I don't know how, but somehow she bought 3 60-pound boxes of bacon. I was like, what are you doing with 180 pounds of bacon? £180 of bacon. I mean, it's fun when you buy like a half case of oranges. But then, you know, that's all you're doing for like a week. It's like everyone's having oranges. Are the pears? Bacon fruit. Bacon wrapped bacon wraps. I told her I was going to stick with my half cow. Although, you know, when the wife worked at the convenience store, they did like morning sandwiches, pre-made morning sandwiches, and the store would buy 10-pound boxes of bacon. And sometimes she would buy a case for us. And that was pretty good bacon. Kind of hard to buy bacon out in the stores. It's so dang expensive. I don't know. We need fundraiser ideas. I need to replace the storage array at work. And I got a bid on that on Friday. $200,000. My jaw about hit the desk when I opened that quote. I was like, what? We're gonna have to have a chat, figure out how we can cut that price by like a lot. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard buying bacon down the stores, and then you know, the downsizing of packaging. Right? You're not always buying a pound of bacon. Sometimes that bacon is like 12 ounces or something. Well, yeah, it's 2 arrays. They were 100K each. Right? Honestly, I was expecting more like 50 to 60K a piece. Calvin, good evening. Good evening to you, sir. Now, when I have time in the morning, my my typical morning break fast during the week before I go to work is 3 eggs and 3 slips of bacon. That's my normal morning break fast. They were all NVMe drives. No more spinny discs. No more spinny discs ever. That's why I'm shopping for new disc arrays. Is the current disc arrays, which I only bought about 6 years ago, no longer supported because they're a hybrid drive storage. They're a mix of spinny discs and flash. And sadly, in 6 years, all the enterprise storage arrays have gone to flash only. Duct tape would hold it up well until, you know, mechanical parts fail. Oh, watch out, old man! I just ran him over. Calvin, I liked Zielonka. I liked it when I saw the PDA. I figured I would like it. It's the style of map I like. I like to play smaller. I like to play on smaller fields, more manageable equipment. I like to run a farm that doesn't have giant loans. We're not massive debt, right? Back in 19, there was this big push, and maybe there is now, and I'm just not paying attention to it. There were a lot of creators. There was a lot of, you know, hype around the debt-free farming challenge, where, you know, you couldn't take out a loan. You couldn't lease equipment. You had to buy everything, and you couldn't take out a loan. And I'm like, I don't see how that's a challenge, because quite honestly, that's normally how I play. I think we might have a little bit of a loan this time around. Yeah, I've got a $30,000 loan now. And that's because I needed to borrow a little bit of money to, I don't know what I had to borrow money for. I think I had to pick up a piece of machinery to finish seeding or planting or something. See, GoldenEye, it's like been there, done that, right? We did that with we did that in FS17 with Emerald Coast. We started with a pickup truck and a chainsaw and not a dime in our bank account. And 7 years later, we owned the entire map. We had more money than we could deal with. Ah, there we go. Start with $1 million in debt. And only $100,000 in the bank. How about that? Is that challenge enough for you? Yes, Caleb. I would go to your motherboard manufacturer, look up your motherboard and download the latest BIOS, and install that. That will make sure that you have support for the CPU that you're putting in. Now you're upgrading to a 3500 from a what? A Ryzen 3, but what family, what generation of Ryzen 3? I got Ryzen 1300, a Ryzen 2300, a Ryzen 3300. 3600? Or are you going to 3600 because you took 3500? But whenever you upgrade your CPU, you always want to go to your motherboard's manufacturer's website and look up your motherboard, triple verify that you have the right motherboard that you're looking at. Typically they will have a CPU compatibility chart that will list every CPU that is compatible with their motherboard, and typically it will have the matrix set up to also list the minimum required BIOS for that particular CPU, and then cross-reference that with the CPU you're upgrading to. Know what version of BIOS you have installed locally. But in general, it's good to upgrade your BIOS before installing a new CPU, just to make sure that you are going to assure compatibility. Nothing's worse than slapping a new CPU in, turning it on, and getting basically nothing. And then putting the old CPU back in, trying to figure out what's going on, only to realize that you've got to flash the BIOS. Alright, 2300 to a 3600. I mean, like, yeah, definitely check the BIOS, especially if you've not upgraded the BIOS since installing the motherboard. So, like, if the motherboard was manufactured before the 3000 series existed, and you've never updated the BIOS, then it has no idea what the 3000 CPU is. And upgrading the BIOS would then tell it, so it would recognize it and know what to do. Alright, you should be good. You should be good. But it's definitely worth going and double checking your BIOS website for the motherboard, and they'll have a CPU compatibility chart. But a 2300 to a 3600 is a very nice upgrade. I think you probably will. I don't know what the core speed is of the 2300. How many cores that's got? Is it like a 4-core, 8-thread part? I don't know. The 3600, I think it's a 6-core, 12-thread part. And likely has a faster base clock than the 2300. But the 3600 is a pretty good value for the money gaming chip. The 5600 would be kind of your ultimate. Speaking of hungry, I need to go activate these potatoes. We can activate this now. Ching. We can turn off our carrot soup. Well, in the long run, the 5000 series is going to be the end of the line for your AM4 socket. Right, so at some point you might want to. Next year, whatever, right? That would be kind of your final upgrade. Is a 5000 series chip. I think you'll get good life out of the 3600. What's the what GPU do you have? Simulator YouTuber, if you're hungry, you need to go get yourself something to eat. I'm living dangerous. I had Thanksgiving leftovers a week later. I heard something on the radio where they were like, yeah, you shouldn't eat, you know, your Thanksgiving leftovers more than 2 or 3 days afterwards. I was like, malarkey. That's for you sensitive types. Stuff's good in the fridge until it's furry. Uh, 1080 Ti, yeah, I think my guess is you were probably CPU limited there with your 1080 Ti. I think the 3600 will drive that a lot better. Now, for what it's worth, our Thanksgiving dinner was last Saturday night. It wasn't Thursday. Oh, Captain Kiwi, that's IT right there. It's all black magic. When everything works, it's great. When things don't work, it's the worst day ever. Tell you what, the RX 580 was a beast. It was a beast of a card when that thing came out. 1080 Ti is also a beast of a card. To think that it is still somewhat relevant. No, not a GTX 590. The AMD 580. Caleb, they probably had an agreement with DeWolf to be the exclusive harvester for these root crops for the DLC. Now there is a mod that dropped late in the week that adds the root crop support to several harvesters. But it wouldn't surprise me that there would be a business arrangement where DeWolf was the only harvester that was going to be officially a part of the game that would harvest those crops. Right? And of course, the way of getting around that is mods. But the language would be, you know, the only official implement. Giants delivered implement. And in whatever the next farm sim is, right, we might see additional pieces of machinery that do those root crops. Speaking of that, we got this. How much does this hold? 26,000 letries. Oh, but I bet you it doesn't hold all the fun stuff at 26,000. Or does it? Oh, you can have any color of gray you want, as long as it's gray. This one with an all black build. 95 G's. I know, it does, doesn't it? I don't really have the money to waste on trying it out. It's definitely not 1863. I don't think we had holidays, and we didn't have holidays in 1621. All right, Calvin, catch you later. Although I might try that truck with the other trailer. If that truck has a hitch on the back, then I can haul this trailer and that. I don't really know. Yeah, I mean, it'd be an interesting fly on the wall story as to how and why the various bits and bobs of the DeWolf lineup or of the Oxbow lineup, you know, made their way, got selected. It's pretty well documented, I think, in lots of respects, that the stuff without capacity, while it's fun in multiplayer, really is limiting in single player. This video is brought to you by Matthew Young and Soul Farmer. Thank you for being farm barons. Let's look at this truck again. Does it have a hitch on the back? It does have a hitch on the back. We might try this. We just talked about wanting to not take out a loan. Can we repaint for no cost? No. We're just gonna do that. And we're gonna buy it. And we're gonna buy this. And let's head over to the shop. Because less trips down to the soup factory means more time in the field. this is what we're going to use to do our carrots this time around. Ravenhawk, what is up? Oh yeah, let's go. Let's do this. There we go. I have not tried the vehicle years mod. No, Richard. I don't really have a lot of time to try much mods anymore. Last night, I got home from work, got dinner made, and then immediately started working on those 2 map videos. And I was done at 12:30 at night. 12:30 in the morning this morning. And that's when I went to bed. But I pushed through because I had my son's birthday party this afternoon, and I knew that we had to do some prep work in the morning, so I wasn't going to be able to spend time working on the map video in the morning. So instead, it was, you know, all we could do to get that video prepped and out. So that we can have time today to do the family stuff. It looks interesting. It looks very interesting with respect to, you know, picking the decade that you start your farming career in, and then you're limited to, I guess, the machines of that decade. Or maybe the machines of that decade and older to play in, and then as you progress through the decades, right, you can progress up to more and more modern machinery. It's kind of that attempt to I guess give you a kind of a career mode, right, where you progress up. It does require then all of the mods and things and the machines in game to have, I guess, a decade coding to them. Hopefully that's fairly easy to add. What? Walking simulator? What are you talking about that? Oh, you mean Death Stranding? Oh, Walter! Birthday party went well. Went well. I wish there was a bit more kids came out. I think for whatever reason there was a lot of birthday parties today. So there was some competition for birthday parties. And it's likely because of the same reason we had the birthday party on December 2nd is our son's birthday is right at Thanksgiving. So depending on the year, right, his birthday could be on Thanksgiving Day. It could be a day, 2 days, 3 days before or after. So having a real birthday party the weekend of his real birthday, well, that would be Thanksgiving weekend. That's never going to float, right? It's never going to work out well. So it's trying to plan the party ideally the weekend before Thanksgiving week. But we didn't get that. We couldn't book the party trailer for a decent time slot. So we had to go with the weekend after Thanksgiving. But it went well. It went well. There were 5. So it was a 40-foot trailer. And in the trailer, half the trailer was set up with like a big couch, lounging seating area. And on the other side of the trailer, on that wall, there were 5 displays mounted that had 5 different gaming consoles connected to them. It was either a Switch, Xbox One, Xbox X, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5. And there were 4 controllers each. So you could have up to 20 players in the trailer at one of the 5 stations. And then there were 2 outside, 2 screens mounted outside, where there were 2 Nintendo Switches outside. Again, up to 4 players each. It was a nice warm day. I think it was a high of like 66, 65. And compared to the weather that's been as of late, that was really good weather. So we were worried that it was going to be cold and rainy or just generally cold and miserable, but that was not the case. And for the kids that came, they enjoyed it. I think a couple played Fortnite. A couple played like NBA basketball. There was some football going on. Super Smash Brothers, Mario Kart, Nintendo Switch Sports. You know, the old Wii Sports, except upgraded. I think he said he had over like 100 games between the various consoles as options. There was Dance, Wii Dance, or whatever the dance games were, Dance Party, whatever they're called. Right? Those were kind of popular. No Farming Simulator. Douglas Eli, welcome. Yeah, Giants will be shutting down here in a couple weeks. Hoping they can get somewhat work through their mod backlog before then. QA came back, I think after the first week of January last year. Nope. I don't know if Warzone was one of the titles they had available. it was pretty hands-off for us. The staff ran the trailer. We just kind of hanged out outside as far as parents. We had it for 2 hours, so the kids played for 2 hours, and then after that we did, you know, cupcakes, drinks, and all. Donald, thank you for being a member for 12 months. 12 months. I do need to ask you to maybe check your check, because I think you may have signed up twice. You may somehow have had 2 subscriptions. Because when I roll the credits, you show up twice. And when I update the credits, I basically do a download of, I do an export of members from YouTube. I sort by member type and age of member, or basically months of being a member. And I just basically copy and paste those names into my spreadsheet. Or into my credits. And you're listed twice, so that means that you must be somehow listed twice in YouTube. I mean, if if you love the content so much you're willing to pay double, that's fine. Right? Just saying, it might be good to check. Check your bank, check your credit card or whatever you're paying it against. See if you're getting 2 charges a month. Well, Hellhawk, that is in the banner of the channel now, isn't it? Now, you know that we have merch? We have merch. Perfect time to maybe pick something up or suggest something to a friend or family member as a stocking stuffer or something for the holidays. We've got stickers, we've got water bottles, stainless steel water bottles. We've got barley juice glasses. Rabid Rob loves his barley juice glasses. T-shirts, sweatshirts. Cell phone covers. I've got a neon green cell phone cover for my Samsung Galaxy S20. My daughter's got a blue, baby blue, I think, cell phone cover for her, I don't know, Apple something. Go ahead and check that out. We've got the link in chat. I think there's also some stuff linked down below the video. And we are giving away, by the way, Discord is going to be giving away 25 random games in the month of December, from December 1st to December 25th. We've already given away 2 titles. We have a giveaway running right now that will end tomorrow morning for the director's cut of Death Stranding. Tuki doesn't want anyone to enter because I think he wants to win that one. But like I said, they are completely random titles. I've got them all picked out. I'm just going to keep them a secret. We do this pretty much every year. It's a way of giving back to those that support the channel, support the community, and are active in the Discord. They don't have a Pixel 6a. Cover? They got a ton of covers. They got a ton of covers. They do have coffee mugs. I know we have a white mug. We might have a black mug too. I don't know. It's Pixel 6a. Let me look. Let me look super fast. We can all look together. Oh, look, here we go. This is one of my favorite. This is one of my favorite. Farmers feeding the world. And then we got a harvester, right? We got a little sun. Since the dawn of time. There we go. Feeding the world since the dawn of time sticker. T-shirts, bad things, mayhem crew stickers. All right, now let's go back up here. Phone cases. Oh, let's see here. We have Samsung. They only have Samsung and iPhone. Oh. Nope, that's not my color. That's the color I got. Is it yellow? No, I got this color. That's the color I got. I mean, we just got... There we go. 23 Ultra. T-shirts. Yeah, we got lots of stuff. Lots of stuff. Go check the merch out. Okay, back to farming. The mugs contain liquids if you put them in there. Yes. I'll have to see if maybe they have pixels. Maybe I have to go activate it. I don't know. You can see in the announcements in the Discord the ones that we've already given away. I'll log into the back end and see. Maybe the only thing they offer is Samsung and iPhone. Let's go. First gear low. I guess I should have got a white tarp for the truck. I mean, I think they cover probably 80% of the market with just those two. I've got several sweatshirts. They are really thick, really wood. Hoodies. Got a Bad Things t-shirt. Sometimes I wear that when we're driving Sunday night. What tool do you use to expose a crop on the ground? Now, we're harvesting potatoes right now. And I'm using the Grimmy pack. They have a potato digger. They have a few different potato diggers. So for potatoes, we're using the Grimmy pack. And they have these potato diggers that dig it up and put it in windrows. We used this one specifically. And then we're using this to collect it. But it only does potatoes. When we get these potatoes collected, we're going to harvest some red beets. But we've got a different machine for that. Probably should turn back there. What'd y'all think of those two maps? Green Mountain and the river, rainy river, rainy forest. Well, Green Mountain was a pretty cool map. But then you need something to pick it up off the ground, right? And depending how realistic your desired gameplay is, using like one of those snowblower attachment things may or may not be a route that you can take in good conscience. Yeah, it all depends on how realistically inclined you are. Because something like that would just, you know, puree your product. Alright, we gotta go get fuel. Well, Walter, that's fine. That's fine, right? You just need to find another Court Farms out there. Right? Everyone has that one map that really hits them. They really connect with, and sometimes it's difficult to find a replacement. All I can say is, you know, don't force yourself to play a map if you're not feeling it. Because if you're not feeling it, you're not going to be enjoying yourself. It's going to feel, you know, forced. I really like Carpathian countryside. The fields were a little bit bigger than I'm totally comfortable with, but yeah, I enjoyed my gameplay on that. But one thing, Donald, is if you're doing root crops, doing the new root crops, and you want to, there's a mod that dropped this week. I posted it in root crops in the Discord that basically adds the root crops functionality to multiple harvesters, multiple large harvesters with capacity. Is that the one where, like, you can't do straw or something in the cow barn? Hopefully I'll get that updated. I did hear from the author of the Rainy Forest map that he's working on a multi-fruit silo to allow players to buy in those ground fill types for console. What's up, Farm Sim Canuck? How are things going with you? $100,000 of potatoes. We're gonna have a lot more potatoes than we had last year, which is good because we kind of ran out of potatoes. Yeah, so I think he's working on that, right? I think I saw that message. Maybe it's already been sent to Giants and it's just pending testing. We keep counting down the days with no straw harvest. I gotta start to wonder if that's gonna be a scheduled December 25th release at this point. I'm doing potatoes because it's good soup money. I wanted to see if I could become profitable just making soup. And dang it if I can be. Close to $30,000 a month in just making prop to take down the soup factory. Nearly $300,000 a year. Just making soup. Yeah, it's crazy the amount of mods coming, still being released, still being worked on, still being submitted to Giants. You know, 2 years now beyond the release of the game. There's no real sign of let up. I think the only thing that's going to slow modders down at this point is Giants making an announcement that the new farm sim is coming. Well, we know it was at Agritechnica. It was showed off at the Crone booth. Right, so I guess, I don't know what was shown off. Was it advertised as, you know, still in development? Who knows? Maybe it's sitting on Giants' servers right now with a scheduled release date. Alright, let's I'm going to finish these 2 rows of potatoes. And then I'm just going to go over here and start grabbing carrots. Just to do something different. I don't think it would be very popular. Poplar soup would not be very popular. Well, you know, I might as well. We need to fill this other trailer is what we need to do. Then we'll do our carrots. Maybe that's what's in that benefiber stuff. Is that how they call it? So how many of you all like rye bread? I got a story for you. I was not expecting this, but I got a story for you. So apparently that's what my my kid thinks too. My youngest. So he had a 10-year-old checkup at the doctor earlier this week. It was like a mid-morning checkup, 10 a.m. 10 o'clock appointment, middle of the week. Right, so obviously we didn't take him to school that day. He didn't get done. He didn't get back to the house until close to noon. And, you know, school, like, lets out at, like, 2 o'clock now. It's ridiculous. So, he didn't go to school that day. Him and his mom went to a local diner for lunch. And, he wanted to order a patty melt. And the patty melt came on rye bread. And his mom was like, you know, I don't know if you're going to like that bread or not. And the waitress was like, well, I can put it on different type of bread. Right? We got Texas toast. We got this. We got that. And he insisted, no, he wanted it as delivered. And, you know, wife was pretty hesitant. She's like, it's I don't know how much it was. Let's say it was $11. I don't know. She was like, yeah, it's $11. I don't want to buy this and then you take a bite of it and not eat it. But he insisted he was going to eat it no matter what. If he liked it or not, he was going to eat it. It wasn't going to go to waste. So he had his patty melt, and he says, yeah, he likes rye bread. So we asked him later multiple times, are you just saying you like rye bread because we made a big deal about you not wasting food? Or what? He said, no, I really like rye bread. Complete shocker. Was not expecting that. I'm not a big fan of it. I'd ask him what was in a patty melt because I don't think I've ever had one. I'd probably just see it says rye bread and just skip over top of it. Yeah, he did say it had a lot of onions. He took the onions out. So it's basically a cheeseburger with onions. On rye bread. Oh no, I like their club sandwiches. Who doesn't like a club? Clubs are great. Alright, that should fill this trailer up. Maybe not. Yeah, that's close enough. Said this order a beet field. Here we have our four beet fields, sorry. 4 beet fields. Oh, come on. Low gear. Let's go. Let's go. Tuna fish. Tuna's good sub. I get a tuna sub from Subway. Probably Walter. You've got those like chunky breads. Seven grain or whatever. I don't know if rye would work for gluten people, since gluten's what, like wheat protein. Jonah, I think Kansas looks nice too, right? Visually, I think ATS or SCS did a good job with it. While that's unloading, let's take this back to farm. Got lots of diversity with Kansas. Some new loads, some new businesses. So, Jonah, there's a way to make your own head tracker using just your webcam and some software. I heard about it the other week from a fellow on the Discord. I don't remember too many details about it. But if you've already got a webcam, it might be a very cheap and effective way of getting basically the equivalent of track IR. Ravenhawk, I have no idea. I never tried it. So if you're, I don't know if you're in the Discord, but you could maybe try to find that. All right, let's head back. Now, I don't know what channel it was posted in, but there is a search function. I would just search something like webcam and see if it pops up that way. But I think there's some software that, you know, uses the webcam to track your head. You know, it identifies your... Oh, back up the truck. We don't want to... Oh, wait. Crop destruction's disabled on these crops. Alright, here we go. Get this thing unfolded, drop her down, turn it on. Outstanding. Hope you have good luck with it. No offset. Thank you very much. So yeah, I don't know if it requires certain types of webcams or what. But my guess is it uses the webcam obviously to track your face. Probably identifies your eyes, and when you turn your head right, it knows you're turning your eyes. Well, Jonah, it's no surprise. I feel personally that that a 3-year dev cycle on Farm Sim is stretching it. I feel longer than 3 years, and a lot of players, other than the extreme hardcore dedicated players, will lose interest and move on. And then the question is will they come back? You know, at some point later. I feel 3 years is probably the furthest you want to go between releases. I think you lose a pretty good player base after a couple of months, just because of there's so many games coming out, right? People can't play everything all the time. So they'll play something for a month, 2 months, 3 months at max, and then jump to something else. And then when additional content comes out, maybe, if they're still somewhat following it, they'll come back. The extreme, you know, hardcore followers will keep playing. But yeah, I mean, I would find myself, before Premium came out, I would find myself basically saying, I'd rather be doing this than Farm Sim. I'd rather be playing that than Farm Sim, right? I don't use Courseplay Ravenhawk. So my version of Courseplay is, do not use it. It's whatever the current release is. Need to move the truck out of the way. So set your offset to 0 and set your working width at 2.47 feet. And you'll see I've got it centered on the tractor. I'm not bothered with the pickup. I've got it centered on the tractor. So if I shift the tractor over to 2.47 feet, then it should shift the pickup over. We missed a row. We'll have to get that on our next pass. I still think the engineering and the design of this stuff is really cool. So, you know, the product comes up the conveyor belt, right? And then we have these things that rotate. You know, you see them above there, and you see them below. Those things rotate and basically pinch. They pinch the crop, the vegetable, from the green. Right, the green continues up these conveyors, these belts, and drops down back on the ground. And then the fruit, the vegetable, dumps on the conveyor and goes up and in. It's pretty neat how that all works. Right? And I was looking at this at the engineering of how that rotates, and that's at an angle, and then this is mounted at an angle, and they come together and barely don't touch, or they barely touch, and they basically just pinch the crop off, pinch the green off. And as a result, right, they drop down, foliage continues on, right, really cool engineering. I'm not using vehicle control add-on because it tries to do too much other junk. I don't want it screwing around with how I drive with the keyboard or anything else. So yeah, I was harvesting one day. you know, I was kind of bored, so I just kind of looked in and saw what was going on, and I thought that looked pretty neat. Yeah. We have different colored grass. Turns brown in the winter. I mean, I kind of like watching the grape and olive harvester work too, to where it kind of, you know, beats the fruit off the tree and off the vine. But yeah, so like here, we have two different types of grass here. So this is like deco grass, and this is map grass, you know, mowable grass, I guess. This grass along the road, it doesn't change, sadly. But this grass right here does. It will get brown, more brown than it is in the winter, and it will get frosted when there's snow on the ground. I feel like we may have had that even with the Platinum expansion last year. Oh, wrong keyboard. Wrong key. And sometimes I just like to watch. I just like to watch this stuff work. Some of the engineering of this stuff is really cool. Well, see, the problem is with these DLCs is it's all locked behind DRM. So technically map authors don't have access to those textures, to those capabilities of the Platinum expansion map or the Premium expansion map. So Silver Run Forest and Zielonka. Right, all those features are locked away in DRM. They'll in theory be available in the next Farm Sim. But yeah, everything we see in this map, right, we can expect is standard fare in whatever comes next. Oh, we're full. That's why this is not picking up anymore. I'm just not going to worry about driving over things. Nope. There is no SDK for the Platinum expansion stuff. There's no SDK for any of the DLC stuff. That's part of the, you know, the overall problem. Yeah, I've made the argument that if they'd open it up so that mappers who owned the DLC could use the DLC features in their creations, and players who owned the DLC could then play on maps that were making use of the DLC, it would only sell more DLC. I made this argument. Now it's been the counter argument has been given that possibly they see it on the flip angle, the flip approach of it being a, I don't know, nickel and dime thing. Like, they don't want, they're very conscientious about the game being accessible to all ages. So maybe one could argue their logic is they want mods and maps, mod maps, to be as accessible to all players as possible. So they don't want, you know, little Joey who plays Farm Sim, you know, going to his parents and saying, I need this $20 expansion so I can play on this map by this person, right? Maybe that's the logic. I don't know. Walter, all premium, well, not all premium features, the visual features. So the trees, the ground textures, the grass textures, the foliage textures, the assets that you see in the map that are not placeable structures in the build menu, right? Like that windmill, that house, that shed is placeable. The light, the power towers, the foliage textures, the premium expansion trees, the premium expansion foliage, the premium expansion paintable textures. Now we do have the ability, like the farmhouse, right? We do have the premium, you know, we do have the farmhouse we can put down. That's part of build mode, right? So that's available on all maps. The new production's available on all maps. The fences are available on all maps because they're part of the deco build mode, right? So if we got a decoration, fences, we get a ton of fences, and these are available on any map because if you have the premium expansion activated, you have access to all these fences, all these gates. You have the access to the production. You have access to the new crops. So you get access to more stuff than you did with the Platinum expansion. Where with the Platinum expansion, you really only had access to the production and the equipment. Like with Silver Run Forest, the really nice water texture on the creeks, that's locked away. The on this map, we have a placeable piano factory that uses the same kind of construction functionality that Premium used, or Platinum used to build the boats and the roller coaster. Right, but you're not going to see anybody basically making something like the roller coaster for 22 because that scripting is locked away. Well, Alien Gym, that still happens. That still happens. If one wanted to find a cracked premium expansion or platinum expansion, it's out there. Just like cracked FS22's out there. Just like about every other game or piece of software is out there in a cracked variant if you know where to look and if you want to go look. If there's a will, there's a way. We've talked about in the past around the the use of file sharing to do MP3s back in the day when you didn't have a good legal way, an easy legal way of doing digital music, digital downloads on your music. Then the prevalence of the Apple, iPod, the Apple Music Store, Sony Music Store, Amazon Music Store. Now it's simple. If you want to buy an album online, it's simple to get it legally. But there are still people who use various means of obtaining, digital copies of music for which they don't own a license to. So if you make it easy and legal a vast majority of the folks will go that route. And building assets like, you know, like this big flour mill that we're looking at off in the distance, all the towns, that really cool church, the tower over there, the apartments, right? All of those assets are locked up in the DRM, in the DLC. Yeah, there's folks out there that think and say Giants should not release maps. Giants should only release, you know, the equipment, and, you know, leave the mapping up to the modders because they're the only ones that make good maps. The problem is 99% of the maps out there are using Giants delivered assets for their buildings, for their textures. So if Giants didn't make those buildings and textures for their own maps, then you wouldn't have those assets for modders to use. So those mod maps are so good and so appealing because of, to some degree, Giants' own maps and the assets for which are in them. There will always be exceptions to the case where you'll have an exceptional map maker that also has the capability of making his own assets, but that's far more the exception than the rule. Off we go. So you know, then there's so you take cat on crops. Cat on Crops was a game that had high hopes by many, myself included. In fact, I was a supporter of Cat on Crops before they did their whole, you know, Steam early access. So I think I was in the $100 club or whatever of their early access thing back in probably 2017. And eventually, right, there was a early access build that supporters could get to and play, and then it came on Steam, and then there was early access that Steam users could buy into and everything. But ultimately, Cat on Crops kind of went defunct. They kind of ran out of money. I think partially they had extremely high hopes for their 1.0 release. Maybe a little bit too lofty of goals. But also, the way they went about building their building the game, building the map, or maps support. The way I understand it is basically the maps were built in Blender, and as such were static creations. There was only ever one map released. There wasn't a way of easily making a map. You had to build it entirely in Blender, is how I understood it. And as such, you had a lot less flexibility than you have with, let's say, a Giants delivered map on the Giants engine, or a farm sim map on the Giants engine. There was no merging fields, making fields, changing the shape of fields. Fields were fields, and that's how they were. The farm was the farm, and that's how it is. There was no, oh, I want to put a different building down here. It was just, you play it how it's delivered. A very probably FS17, FS15, 13 concept maybe. But in general, folks have moved on from that. Welcome back, Calvin. We're just about done here, though. I think we'll go until we fill up our trailer. And then we'll sign off for the night. I was gonna say, too bad you can't run it this way. But the product would never get into the harvester. Oh. There we go. So you said December 8th. So that's the end of next week, right? Yeah, it was a pretty big shakeup when they announced cloths for cattle and crops, right? That was well before we had the premium expansion, the cloths expansion in FS19. Yeah, we're a bit of a red farm here on Zielonka. Of course, we've got the Fiat Agri tractor from the DLC. We also have the little Kloss, not Kloss, Case Farmall. currently are only 2 tractors in our fleet. Yeah, I mean, it was disappointing to see the end result of that. Like I said, I was an early supporter. I was very much, encouraged by what they wanted to do. I thought it was going in the right direction for the style of gameplay I like. In the end, I played it for 10 minutes because when I first had early access, I had graphics problems, and it was a title I just never got back to. That is correct, Calvin. They do now work with the new crops. I think next year I might. Next agriculture year on the map, I might try to merge like these together to make one long run. I don't know. Trying to decide if I like this harvester more or less than the crate harvester. I think it's faster because we're not having to haul crates in the end. Well, I mean, do what you do best. Do what you do best, and if you can't do something, try to find someone that can do it, that does it better than you, right? And as long as you can, you can do that, you can pay the labor, then there's nothing wrong with that. Raphael, welcome. Welcome to the stream. Hope you all have been enjoying it so far. I think this will probably be the last load of beets, then we'll haul it down to the soup factory. If you're new to this gameplay series, we're 100% only focused on soup. We do have some chickens just for funsies. We've got some pigs just for funsies. We are feeding them with some crop, but ultimately the basis of our farming operation is to keep this soup factory supplied with product. We're making potato soup, carrot, parsnip, red beets into triple soup. As long as we have all the ingredients. And you know what? We're making a lot of good money. My bank account doesn't really reflect that right now, but we're making about $30,000 a month just on soup. So we are, keeping busy with our beets. We've got parsnips in the field. I've got carrots in the field. We're working earlier on collecting potatoes out of the field. Easily $300,000 a year. Just doing a little bit of work in the spring to plant, a little bit of work in autumn and winter to get the harvest. Oh, turkeys to farm sim. I don't know about that. We got turkeys around here. I give you one piece of advice. Never ride behind a turkey truck. You don't want the rain on your car. Raphael, I'm doing good. We're doing good. We're just chilling out here, harvesting our red beets. Chatting it up, having a good time. No free turkey. You also don't want to come up upon a turkey accident on the interstate. That's some pretty bad stuff. Well, turkey trucks around here are, they ship them on flatbeds, and the turkeys are in basically cages. So when you drive by a turkey truck, well, you see a whole bunch of turkeys packed in. And, well, when they do their business, it has to go somewhere, so it goes right out the back of the truck. We'll do one more load. Well, it's a couple fold there, I think, is most, other than, right, so So, like, I could see here maybe because there's a portion of the chicken house that's inside, right? But you're not going to be collecting manure out of here. Yeah, just like you're not going to be collecting the manure out of that. Or there shouldn't be any manure creation in this either because it's just going into the ground, right? Now, of course, here, right, we can collect the manure inside the building. Any manure happens outside, well, that's just done for. With the buildings, it's assumed in 22 that you're auto watering. Water is automatically supplied. It's piped into the building. In 19, right, you had to bring your own water. I think it's some groups like that, some groups didn't. So I think in 22 they maybe went one way and made the others that preferred to water their animals, less happy. We had the mod from GTX in 19 and 17 that let us put water pipes in, right? We hit a valve and then water our animals that way. And he did have, water for chickens as a component. It added water to the chickens. It's what I call gamification, right? So yes, it's a simulator, but at the end of the day, every simulator is going to have some little nod to the fact that it is at the end of the day a game. So the gamification of the animal system is to simplify it a bit. But yeah, horses do have manure, and if they're in the building, right, it should go somewhere. I don't know. I mean, sheep, every animal poops, right? It's just how viable and how useful is it? And the giant turkey buildings around here, the turkeys are all inside, so clearly when they do their business, it goes on the floor. It probably goes under the floor because the floor is porous. And there's a way to collect it. And you probably need to collect it from a standpoint of being, clean. Keeping the building clean. Keeping it disease-free and such. But I think it's kind of an attempt to make the game accessible to all. Being a simulator without being a hardcore simulator. Yeah, and that was kind of one of the marketing aspects of Count on Crops. Was it was going to appeal to more of those players that wanted a more of a hardcore simulation. I wish we had more of the Platinum expansion water on this map. Carrie, pretty much we finished harvesting, or we finished digging our potatoes over there. We spent a good bit of time collecting those potatoes off the field and taking them down to our soup factory. And then probably for about the last hour or so, we've been doing our red beets. So yeah, that's pretty much been focusing on potato and red beet harvest. I harvested the sorghum earlier today, so that was done. We picked up this truck, kind of speed the operation of transport down here to the soup factory a little bit more, because we can haul more product per trip. No. So I did this 37, 40, and 42. I did those before the stream. 46 is where we had our potatoes. And I harvested most of that off camera. I finished a portion of that at the start of the stream. And then we collected a fair bit of those potatoes. Not all of them, but a fair bit during the stream. And then I want to do something different. So we jumped over and started working on our beets. So we don't have too much of those done at this point. I think this was the first load of red beets we actually took down. Yeah, Raven part was a bit of a disappointment. It's like, really, why is there trash everywhere I look? Well, my goal was to see how much money I could earn just harvesting crops and making soup. I know this map is centered in Central Europe or Eastern Europe, so Poland, Czechoslovakia type areas. But, you know, one row at a time. Takes a little bit of time to go. Crossblades, I'm happy with it. I'm happy with it. $30,000 or so a month. That's on hard mode. If I went to easy economy, it'd be $90,000 a month. If we let's look here, so 27,000, 38,000, 30,000, right? That is all sold products. And that's at the low level of the that's at the low level of the price scale. So it could be all over the place, but so yeah, I mean it's we are gonna be. It takes a long time to harvest our beets. I've got 2 more fields over there to do. It's gonna take, you know, a good little time to do our parsnips. That's these 2 fields over here to the left. And then we've got carrots in that field back there, and then 2 fields across the street. Right, the way I planted them all, August is going to be red beets. September is going to be parsnips. October is going to be carrots. And then from October until March or April, we're done. We don't have any harvesting to do. We don't have anything to do. Other than to, you know, empty out our soup factory. I've never had a parsnip, but they look like a white carrot. So I understand, like, preserved. You can make some good money off of these preserves also. We got potato chips now, right? But potato chips require oil. So if you did sunflowers, right, then you got to go to the oil factory. You got to put your own oil mill down because there's not one included. But yeah, it's like you plant your crop in the spring, you harvest your crop in autumn, and that's it. When you are harvesting, it takes a while to do. When you're planting, it takes a little while to do. Because we're talking about little, you know, 3 meter at the most 6 meter wide equipment. I feel like you get pretty good money for your results. I like that they added the root crops to the pig food root crops, and they added a new requirement for horses to incorporate the new root crops. Right? So for pigs, they now can take carrot, parsnips, and red beets. And for horses, now there's a new root crops food requirement. If you have the DLC installed. All right, folks. I alluded to it earlier that we were going to call it after we unloaded our load of red beets. So, good night to everyone. Thank you all for coming out and watching. Hope you all enjoyed our relaxing gameplay, our casual banter conversation. That's what we do here. If you're new to the channel, we just chill, we hang out, we play. We try to play in a semi-realistically manner. If you're not a subscriber, please go ahead and hit that subscription. Go check out the Green Mountain map video I did if you're a PC player. That's a 4X forestry agriculture map. Has a very good mix of forests and fields. There's also a new forest map for all platforms. Came out, the Rainy Forest. That looks to be getting updated soon, such that console players can buy those new fill types. Keep an eye out for our ATS live stream tomorrow night over on our FK Funhouse channel. That is our secondary channel where we put non-farm sim content. Johnny V, good evening to you and good night, all at the same time. Till next time, happy farming.